Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Miss Taveras. I am here ready with you to go over the Living Environment Regents review. Now, this review is a little bit different. We are going to actually go ahead and do a full short response section of an exam with, of course, a couple of things to say beforehand. First of all, I want to make sure that you guys are behaving, that you are listening to this video, and that, you pay good attention and you just follow along and do what you have to do in your packet. Sorry for that pause. So, the Living Environment Regents exam, as you know, is a science exam. It's 3 hours long, and you are allowed to leave after 2 hours, but I suggest that you use full time because this is your one and only chance to do the best that you can in this test. You don't get another chance. And once time is up, that's it. So when is this test happening again? It's happening on Wednesday in the afternoon session, whatever time Unity Prep has organized, June 13th, Wednesday in the afternoon. Okay? Supplies that you need. So the supplies that you need a pen, pencil, sharpener. Let me go back. I'm just getting my pen ready. So pen, pencil, sharpener, ruler, eraser, non-graphing calculator, scrap paper. Yes, Unity will give you all of these things, okay? Most of them, but I highly suggest that you bring your own things, especially your own pen. Now, the pens that Unity gives, they're a little bit tough to write with. So if you were to buy a little bit more of an expensive pen that has a bold application to it, it's softer in your hand and your hand won't cramp up because you know that in these exams, your hand cramps up when you write a lot. So, and these, exams are long and you write a lot and you do a lot of things. So try to bring your own supplies, okay? Especially pen, your own eraser, your own sharpener. We will definitely give you a non-graphing calculator and some of the other things as well. And a ruler. You will definitely also get a ruler. Now the ruler, remember, is for your graphs. Now, please excuse this wonderful handwriting because I have a digital pen. And as you know, digital pens they write differently than actual real pens. So, in terms of rules, all short answers should be in pen, okay? So they should be in pen. The short answer, the short responses. If you have graphs, for the graphs, and if it says to draw, if it says draw or any of the graphs that you do, needs to be done in pencil. Your bubbling sheet, the one that you fill in the circles, with that must be done in pencil. Okay, especially if you make, and this is where the eraser comes in, that you bring your own eraser because sometimes the erasers on pencils smudge. All right. Days before the exam, what to do. So before the exam, please study. No matter how good you were in my class, you need to study. If you come in not studying, there are going to be a few questions that you forget. Remember, science, living environment, it's either you know it or you don't know it. So this could be the difference between an 80 and a 90, or a 90 and a 97, or a 60 and a 70. Do not walk in without studying. How do you study? Use the Google Classroom PowerPoints that I uploaded. I uploaded these PowerPoints already. I uploaded them a week and a half ago. This video will be uploaded with the PowerPoint after the workshop is done, after the review session is done. I will upload a full exam video. So what we're going to do today, we're only doing half of the exam, which is the short responses only, but I'm going to upload an exam from beginning to end, the entire thing. Now, obviously that video is going to be about an hour and a half long, but it's worth it. You're studying with me, you're going through an entire exam, and this is what you should be doing. Study using the topics from your Regents review book. those review books are gold. They have exactly what you're supposed to study for this exam, all right? Go over those answers. So in your Regents review book, I had uploaded the answers on Google Classroom. It's the answer key for the Regents review book. So guess what you have to do? Open your books up, go to all the topics, look at the questions, and the answer key is uploaded for you to check your work. Don't forget about the 4 labs that we did, the 4 mandated labs. That's going to be on part D of the exam, okay? So let me see here. So the four labs that we did in the beginning of the year, we did diffusion through a membrane, where we made a fake cell and we put it in a beaker, and that cell had glucose and starch inside of it. Now we're gonna maybe we might bump into some questions that pertain to that. Making connections, you took your pulse, you got an average of the class, an average pulse rate, you added all your pulse rates and divided by the number of pulse rates, heart rate that you got per minute. Beaks of Finch we did recently. We observed and understood how the shapes of the beaks of birds can influence their survival in their environment, and relationships and biodiversity, where we had Botanicurus. It was going extinct, and we figured out that species Z was the best fit for Botanicurus because of all of the tests that we did that checked out. And so I just want to emphasize we had 9 topics. 2 of them were lab topics, and then 1 through 7 were basically the bulk of the material. And just know that not every living environment exam is going to touch on every single thing that we did. But remember, we completed 100% of the material. Yay! Okay, so you are very well equipped. Unless you were absent a lot and you didn't come to office hours. So that's why office hours are so valuable and so important. Okay? What will you do today during review? So we will go over the June 2014 short response exam. You will fill out the exam packet as I move along the video. Teachers, let me know who was there and did not do this. Okay, you will not disturb the flow of the video. Stay quiet as the video is playing. Do not disturb. Do not go crazy. Do not speak over me. This is as if I were in the room, because as you know, 6 different sessions of the same thing is happening. There aren't 6 of us. It's only me, Mrs. Zinge, Mr. Machero, and Miss Caspi. So there are there's just too much going on. So the video was the best thing for me. So it's a virtual Miss Taveras, okay? So teachers, please feel free feel free to pause whenever you feel necessary. If you want to help explain, if you want to make corrections, if you want to give students a chance to write down their answers, if you want to have the students discuss the answers, teachers, please feel free to accommodate this however you feel the class wants to accommodate it, or whatever fits best, okay? All right. So what is this really? What am I doing here? What's the whole point? Why am I not just reviewing all the PowerPoints? Because I'm modeling something that you should be doing, okay? I am modeling something that I've been telling you from the beginning of the year, all right? You already have all the material down packed. We already went through all the stuff. You've been studying this for 10 months. So the best thing for you to do is to get the exams out with your knowledge of biology and practice. Because remember, as I told you before, okay, that the exam or anything you do is 50-50. I teach you, I give you all that I can, all the tools that I can, but you also have to make a 50% effort back, or 100% or 150% effort back. Okay, so teachers work really hard to help you understand the material, but you have to make the effort. It has to be your business to pass all of your exams. Well, remember what I told you to do for the living environment, all right? You go to Google and you type in Living Environment Regents, look at all the things that are already online. This exam has been administered since the 1970s. So reviews and videos and packets and answers and questions have been done already for you. Okay? So once you click on Living Environment, once you enter Living Environment Regents, go to the first link, right? Again, this video is going to be uploaded in Google Classroom, just saying. You don't have to write any additional notes unless you know you're never going to go to Google Classroom again, which is a really bad decision. Once you click on it, you're going to see this website over here. And you're going to be under the science. And here is a whole list of all the regions, the past regions that have been given out. All right. So with that, once you click on an exam, you have the examination, you have the answer key. So you don't necessarily need to print anything out because why? You have your Regents Review book. You have your Regents Review book, which I'm going to get to a big point here. Okay? I'm going to get my pen again. Pick up your Regents Review book. The only class that picked up their Regents Review book was my E-Block. Thank you, E-Block. You've had your Regents Review book for 2 full weeks now. So they have a heads up on studying. My A-Block, they're Earth Science. My C-Block, D-Block, F-Block. So for D and F, your books will be in the hall, usually where Mr. Bennett sits, where the deans sit. Your books are going to be there in a basket. Find your name, find your book. Don't take someone else's book. Take the book home. That book has all of the topics, everything you need. I uploaded the answer key on Google Classroom. If you choose not to take the Regents Review book, how are you going to study for this test? You can't just do this. You have to review all the materials as well as what I've uploaded in Google Classroom. Okay, so before we begin, just a couple of things again. Teachers, let me just get my handy dandy pen again. So teachers, please pause the video when necessary. Teachers, feel free to improvise if necessary. Encourage yourself to push yourself to study and to practice an entire full Regents exam on your own. You have 4 of them, full Regents exams printed out on the back of the Regents Review book. Okay? Stay quiet while the video is playing. Please let your teacher know if you need a break. Norms of the exam will be explained as I move along, so any kind of other rules that I've explained in class, if we bump into it, I'll go over the rules. Don't forget to do your last homework menstrual cycle. This is very key, not for Mr. Rebay's classes where Mrs. Zinge and Mr. Macheo took over, but my D block, E, and C block, you have a menstrual cycle. You have a menstrual cycle homework. That is your last homework. Only 6 people have done it out of the 70 students that I have under my roster. So that is not a good sign. This is your last homework. You have until the 15th to do it. Now, this is going to help you for the test because as you'll see in the test that we do today, it has the menstrual cycle. It has the menstrual cycle question that I'm going to review. If you don't finish the video, please know this will be uploaded. So wherever it is that you end on this video, it's okay because this is going to be uploaded, guess where? Google Classroom. It's going to be uploaded in Google Classroom and you can finish it then. But just know that there's going to be another video uploaded of a full, entire Regents Living Environment done by me. Multiple choice, explanations, very, very long video, but it's worth it because at the end, you are going to be happy and well-equipped and just very confident on this exam, okay? All right, are we ready? Okay, so right now you need the following. You need a writing utensil. You might need a highlighter. You don't need to, but if you want to highlight things, that'll be great. So right now is a good time to pause and make sure that you have all your materials. Highlighter, writing utensil, packet. Okay? Now you don't have this. This is just the living environment first, but you don't need it. So you can pause right now and see if you have all materials. All right, so let's go with our first question. So this is B2. Again, let me get my handy dandy pen. And so here we have B2, which is the beginning of the short answer questions. I want you to focus on this. A lot of students don't seem to read directions, and this is very important for a couple of reasons. Directions tell you what you are looking at. They tell you what questions pertain to what you're looking at. Okay, so for example, here says directions for numbers 44 to 55. For those questions that are multiple choice, record the separate answer sheet, the number of the choice that of those given best completes each statement. So basically what this is saying is that you're going to bump into, as you remember the mock regions, you're going to bump into multiple choice questions. And the multiple choice questions, of course, you can write on the answer booklet, but you just have to remember that you have to put your final answer on the multiple choice answer booklet. And what do you use to put this in? You use a pencil. You use a pencil, ladies and gentlemen. Do not do it in pen. This is done in pencil. Everything here, the short answer responses are done in what? The short answer responses are done in pen. Not glitter pens, not neon highlighters. No. You do it in black or blue ink. If not, it won't be valid. All right? So here we have, okay, let me just get rid of all those markings. So let's read the question. 44, 2 views through a compound light microscope. Don't know why that happened. Let's go back to that. That's a quick fix. You see a graph coming up, no problem. So here we have 2 pictures, right? 2 illustrations from a compound light microscope of a wet mount slide. So this is of a slide, right? So these are 2 different slides looking through a microscope. So this is the view of a microscope. Slide preparation of cells are shown in the photographs below. So this is view A. A procedure was done, and then this is what it looked like after. So which procedure was most likely followed to obtain view B? So if you remember, what is this? What are these things on the slide? If you said cheek cell, you are correct. These are cheek cells that we obtained from your cheek when we did the diffusion through a membrane lab. Okay? These are cheek cell, or we also just did the cheek cell lab. So right here, the cells, these are cells, right? This is one cell over here, and this is the cell membrane, this is the cytoplasm, that's the nucleus. We did something to make it look like this. What do you think we did to the slide? What did we add? What do we do? So if you're thinking that we added a stain, you are correct. So please do not rewrite the question. Just go straight to an answer, but give a complete sentence. So which procedure was most likely followed to obtain view B? You can write a stain was added. That's it. If you want to be fancy, you can say a specific stain like iodine. Iodine is a specific stain, or methylene blue or bromthiamine blue. All of these things are in our PowerPoint, and they're also in your notes, and they're also in the Regents Review book, okay? But the procedure that we did here was we added a stain, okay? All right, graph. Here we have a graph. Again, pay attention. Let me get my pen. Let's change the color though. Let's do green. Okay. So here we have a graph. All right. Remember to read the directions. This is for numbers 45 to 47. So it's pertaining to these 2 pages over here. Okay. To these 2 pages. Hold on. Let me just get that again. And I really liked green. Very good. Read the directions. Base your answers to questions 45 through 47 on the data table below and on your knowledge of biology. The data table shows the concentration of estrogen in picograms per milliliter. Okay, and here they give you the units. In the blood of a woman over a the course of 28 days. What do you think they're talking about here? Oh my gosh, they're talking about the woman's menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle. If you did your homework, you know that there are 4 phases. 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, okay? But right now, they're not really asking about that. This is just good to know. And estrogen is a female sex hormone. Do you remember where estrogen and progesterone is made in the female reproductive system? The ovaries. The hormones are made in the ovaries of a female, okay? So, let's read the directions of constructing the graph. Because remember, graphs tell you a story. And you will know that once you make a graph in any regions you take, you are going to have questions that pertain to the graph you made. So if you made the graph incorrectly, your answers here will be incorrect. Okay? So let's get started. Directions 45 to 46. Using the information given in the data table, which is right here. This is the data table. Construct a line graph. Oh, look at that. A line graph. Not a bar graph, but a line graph on the grid following the directions below. Remember that we practiced that it could have been one line graph or two lines, right? In this one, we only have one line that we have to construct. Now, this could change in the real one on June 13th. I don't know. I haven't seen the test and I'm not allowed to see the test. Mark an appropriate scale without any breaks on the axes labeled concentration of estrogen. Here we have, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm pressing the pen. Sorry. I'm pressing the pen. The pen has like buttons on it. Okay, no problem. So I'm going to make sure I don't do that again. So let's actually have some more fun and change the color to, what is that? What is this? Ah, okay. So now, you have to focus. Where is concentration of estrogen? Concentration of estrogen is right here, the y-axis, okay? So they already did the x-axis for you. Well, good. That's great. Don't let that fool you. This is not a bar graph. This is a line graph. How do you know? It said it. Line graph. So now here it says that you have to construct an axis. Okay, and here they labeled it for you. So concentration of estrogen, we go to the data table here. This is concentrating of estrogen right here. So here you have these lines where you need to make a scale. Look at what you have here. What is your highest number here? 200. 200 is your highest number. There's no reason why you should have anything higher than 200 here, okay? So we're going to make a perfect scale. Now, remember, you do not take all these numbers and just put them here. You're not going to take, okay, 25, then 30, then 180, then 200, then 80, then 30. No, that's not what you do. You have to look at your highest number, look at all of the spaces that you have, and make a proper scale. Are you going to go by 2s, by 10s, by 20s, by 30s, by 25, by 100? How much are you going to go by? Also, are you going to skip 1 or are you going to skip 2? You can't skip 1 and then 4 and then 2. You have to be very consistent in how you are going to skip, okay? So let's just, I have here a better picture, a bigger picture here. Make sure I don't touch these lines. I should deactivate them. Okay, so our highest number is 200. Okay, so we're going to here construct 200, right? So let's see if we have enough, how much space we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So they gave us exactly 20 slots. We can go by 10. That's fine, but we can also just skip 2 and go by 20. So here, if we go by 20s, we're going to skip 2, and this is going to be 20. Skip 2, 40. Skip 2, 60. Skip 2, 80. Skip 2, 100. Okay. Skip 2, 120, skip 2, 140, skip to 160, skip to 180, skip to 200. Okay, so you have your packet there. So you can look at the data table. I am just going to get my data table real quick. Okay, so let me just get my pen again. Okay, so I have my table in front of me, my data table in front of me. So remember that this pertains to days down here, and this pertains to the concentration of estrogen. So you have to be sure that you're looking at the right spot. So the first day is 1. So 1 is around here. If this is 2, then 1 should be right here, okay? So in the middle of the first block. So if at 1 day, what is the one day of the woman's female menstrual cycle, 1 day, what is the estrogen level? Well, the estrogen level is 30. So if it's 30, it's here, right? And what do they say to do? Plot the data for the concentration of estrogen on the grid, surround each point with a small circle, and connect the points. So there's 2 things you have to do. You have to make sure there's a circle, and then at the end, you have to connect. If they do not connect, you do not get this easy point, okay? So I'm going to make this circle here. Okay. If the day is 5, which is right here, the estrogen level is 80. So let's go up to 80, which is here. And let's make that circle. Now yours is going to look perfectly beautiful. If the woman is in 10 days in her cycle, her estrogen level is at 200. So 200 is all the way up here. I apologize if I'm off. Then if the woman is 15 days into her cycle, which is here, which is right here, 15 days, her estrogen level is at 180. So 180 would be right here. Let's make sure we put the circle here. And then if she is at 20 days into her cycle, her estrogen level is at 30. So let's see here, right here, this is 30, right? Wait, this is, yeah, this is, wait, 1, 2, right here, yeah, from before. Right there, you want to be careful, just like me. And then if she's in her 28th day in her cycle, her estrogen level is at 25. So this is 10, 25, right in the middle over here. So here is the part where you use a ruler, okay, unless you have a very stern hand. You're going to take your ruler and you're going to connect the dots. Now, mine I don't have a ruler with my digital pen. Connect it. Okay, make sure you connect it from dot to dot. And then you have your beautiful graph that tells you a wonderful story. What's the story? Because graphs tell stories. The story is that in the woman's 28-day cycle, her estrogen levels are first low, and then as the days go by, it increases, being highest on day 10, and after day 10 it starts lowering back into normal range, which is around 20 to 40, whatever they say this unit is, okay? So this is what you want to do. Please don't skip through this. Please don't make a teeny tiny graph. Extend your scale to where you have a nice large graph, okay? All right, next. Okay, next question. So remember, teachers and students, you can pause at any point if you want to continue to talk about the problem. If you want to fix anything, please feel free. So let's go to this question, number 49. Again, let's read. Base your answers to questions 48 and 49 on the word equations below. Try not to look, whenever you have illustrations or pictures or phrases or anything like that, look and see if you can understand it first and then try to look and answer the questions, okay? So in science, try to look and see what they're showing you first and then answer. So here we have process 1 and process 2. Well, let's see. Oxygen plus glucose gives you carbon dioxide, water, and X. Sounds very familiar. Process 2. Carbon dioxide, water gives you oxygen and glucose. Sounds very familiar. Do you remember what formula This is representing the top one. What do you think process 1 is? If it's oxygen plus glucose, sugar, gives you carbon dioxide, water, and a mystery X here. If you remember this from class and from your notes, this is cellular respiration, and this is how we make ATP. I'm going to abbreviate respiration. This is how we make energy for the cell, ATP energy, okay? And then this procedure here, process 2, carbon dioxide plus water plus light energy, little hint, oxygen and glucose. This is the photosynthesis formula, photosynthesis. So let's look at the question here. Identify the molecule represented by letter X. Letter X, well, if this is cellular respiration where the cell makes ATP, they didn't put ATP here, so X is ATP, okay? Which stands for adenosine triphosphate, but you don't need to put that. You can just abbreviate it to ATP. Okay, now let's look at, so we got that right. All right. So let's look at number 49. Which process occurs in the cells of a green plant? So remember, all living things, oops, let me go back. Guess what I pressed? I pressed the, oh, doesn't want to move. Let's pause that. Bloop, my bad. Okay, so let's get my pen back over here. So again, over here we got ATP, correct? So here, number 49. Which process occurs in the cells of a green plant leaf? So obviously we're talking about a plant cell. But as I said before, all living things go through cellular respiration because all living things need ATP energy. If you're alive, you need ATP energy to stay alive, okay? You need ATP energy to stay alive, whether you're a plant or an organism or a human or a dog or a cat or anything that's living, you need ATP energy. So everything goes through cellular respiration. And if they're talking about a plant leaf, then it also goes through the process of photosynthesis. So the answer for this has to have both of them. Plants need ATP energy, and they also need energy from the sun that transfers into sugar for the plant, food for itself, because it's an autotroph. So the answer is 4. Both processes 1 and 2. Okay, let me just get rid of all those notes there. Okay, now to this. If you did the homework, guess what this is? The menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle homework that helps you identify this, but I can also help you with what this represents. So the diagram never changes, okay? So again, read the directions. This diagram represents questions 50 to 53. So all of these questions over here pertain to this diagram. Please read the directions, because if you go to the next question and you don't read this, you might think that it has something to do with this, okay? When it doesn't, when it stops at number 53, here's where it stops. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at a specific graph that has different sections. This section represents the ovaries. The ovary and what's happening to the egg. The egg is obviously maturing. In ovulation, when the woman is ovulating at day 14, the ovary is releasing the egg, and then it's making its way to its fallopian tube. If I'm speaking too fast, it's for a reason, because we went over this in class when we did the reproductive system. So section A represents the events that are happening in the ovaries. Section B is representing the levels of hormones and how they fluctuate for the female reproductive system, the two sex hormones that influence the menstrual cycle is estrogen and progesterone. And section C is the lining of the uterus that changes, it thins and it thickens in different days of the menstrual cycle. The normal average day of the menstrual cycle, days of the menstrual cycle is 28. I remember there are 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, and you'll see this in the homework. Okay, so let's look at the questions. 50. Which sections of the graph represent structures affected directly by the hormones shown? So you have to look and see here what sections are specifically influenced by the hormones shown here, the two hormones. What influences them? What sections? Well, let me get my pen. If you chose 3, you're correct. Sections A and sections C, because the hormone fluctuations affect the section A, which is the way the events of the ovary, and it also affects C, the lining of the uterus. This is the lining of the uterus, okay? Okay, so now let me just get rid of all these markings because they get annoying. Let me get the pen. So, 51. According to the graph, on which day is the egg released from the ovary? So if we look here, here's the egg. This is the egg over here. Okay, it's in the inside. It's maturing. Okay, growth of follicle. It grows after these days, and it's influenced by the hormone. Then it drops. It releases the egg. And this is called ovulation. So here's where it's released, and if we go down, and we see the day, it's day 14. Day 14, let me change the color of the pen to something darker, actually. Pen color, let's do black. So it's 14, day 14, okay? All right, 52, that is correct, very good. You get the point. Which section of the graph shows the location where the zygote would most likely become implanted and developed? Well, the section that would most likely implant, so they're talking about the section, not the day now. They're not talking about days. They're talking about which section. Is this section A, B, or C? So which section would the zygote, this is the fertilized egg. That egg has to find its home where? In the uterus. What section is the lining of the uterus? And this was seen in the reproductive system video. Section C. So section C is where that zygote needs to implant itself. It needs to make a home so that it can grow and become a wonderful, beautiful baby. 53. Identify another human reproductive hormone that is not shown on this graph. So just so you know, when you do the homework for the menstrual cycle, there are other hormones that pertain to the female reproductive system, and one of them is called FSH. Now, this is just textbook. Now, this is just reminders that you need to study. You need to do your homework. You need to do what I tell you so that you can pass. So FSH is a hormone produced by the pituitary gland that also influences the menstrual cycle. So it's not just estrogen and progesterone. It's a couple of hormones, female hormones, okay? There's some other ones too. Guess where you can get the answer to this? Online. When you Google things, when you look into it, when you research it, it's right there where I showed you. Now, just a reminder of the female reproductive system. So this right here, what we just did over here, is talking about not only the events in the ovary, which remember these are the ovaries, right? And this is where the eggs are made and matured, right? We also spoke about the uterus. So the lining of the uterus changes every day in the woman's cycle. It gets thin and it also thickens depending on the cycle, all right? And remember, these are the fallopian tubes. Women have 2 fallopian tubes. And this is where the egg will be fertilized. So the egg is released here in ovulation. Then it travels to the fallopian tube. It waits for sperm. No sperm, no sexual intercourse, then it disintegrates, and the lining of the uterus was waiting for that while the egg was waiting to be fertilized. The lining of the uterus was thickening. If the egg did not get fertilized, that extra skin that had formed here in the uterus is then removed, and that is a part of the menstrual cycle called menstruation, and that's why the woman bleeds, and then the cycle starts all over again. So it's a small amount of blood and tissue being removed by the uterus. Okay, moving on. So here's number 54. Here's one of those questions that don't come often, but it's one of those things where just pay attention, read, and make sure you follow directions and you put things in the right spaces. So even though this kind of looks like a graph, it's still not. It's not. It's a table. It's not a graph. It doesn't say to graph or to draw. So this needs to be done in pen. So this pertains, so let me get my pen. This pertains to numbers 54 and 55. You have to read what is going on. What is the story? Okay, so let's read. Different plant species require different amounts of direct sunlight in order to flower. A student designed an experiment to determine the length of exposure to direct sunlight necessary for a specific plant species to produce flowers. The student collected the data below. So this student did an experiment about hours of exposure of direct sunlight, and he or she wanted to see, did the plant, depending on the exposure of sun, produce flowers? Did it, and what was the percentage? Okay, 54. Organize the data collected from shortest to longest length of exposure. This is very important that you read the directions because it says shortest to longest. And here we have the data that the student collected over here, okay? Shortest amount of time. So we're going to start from 0 and we're going to work our way to 7 hours. So let's start with just hours. Take it one step at a time, okay? So we had 0 hours. We had 1, 3. Make believe that's a 3. 5, 7, 9. Where did I get these numbers? From here, hours. So here we have hours. Here we have hours, okay? So 0, we got 0. We got 1. We got 3. We got, and it says in order from shortest to longest. So we're going to go to 5, 7, 9. Shortest to longest in order. Now we have to put the corresponding percent of plants with flowers. So for 0, what did you get? 0%. Please put the percent sign. If the units are not in the chart, put it where it belongs. 1 hour was 0%. 3 hours, it was 80%. 5 hours, it was 90%. Be careful where you're seeing your information. 7 is 10%. Now follow along with me. Everyone should be writing this down. And then 9 hours was 0%. Now remember, whenever you make any kind of graph or data table, of course they're going to ask you about it. And if you did it incorrectly, your answer is going to be incorrectly. So at the end of the experiment, the students stated that if plants are exposed to more hours of daylight, they will always produce a greater percentage of flowers. Is this a valid conclusion? Support your answer. So they're saying that the students stated that the more exposure of daylight the plant has, the greater amount of flowers it will have, the greatest amount of percentage of flowers it will have. Is this true? Well, let's see. The plant was exposed to 0 hours, it didn't get much plant. It didn't get any flowers. 1 hour of sunlight, no flowers. 3 hours of sunlight, 80% flowers. 5 hours, 90%. 7 hours, it kept increasing. 10% it went down. And then 9 hours of sunlight, it went down to 0. So it went up and then it went down, creating like this bell-shaped curve kind of result. So is this a valid conclusion that the more hours they have of daylight, the more flowers they will produce? The answer is no. This is not valid. This is not a valid conclusion because as the hours increased, the number or percentage of flowers decreased. Now, I am making a perfect example of what you should never do. Please write clearly, write legible, spell as well as you can, because you want to make sure that the teacher that's grading your test can read it. If the teacher can read it and no one can read it, then they're going to have to mark it wrong because they can't understand what you're saying. And guess what? I cannot grade your exam. These are tears. Let me draw tears on both eyes because, yeah, those are the rules. Okay, so let's move on. Number 56. Okay, so let me just get my pen again. Pen. This is when you start getting lazy. It's already halfway through the exam. Your eyes are itching. Guess what? Keep going. Read the directions. Read the passage. Annotate things. Underline things. Understand the story. What is the story? I'm sorry that this Regents doesn't have much pictures or color or anything like that, but you have to use your imagination. You have to use your brain. I was going to draw a light bulb, but that wasn't working out because this digital pen is very difficult to get used to. So understand, okay, so it says directions 56 to 72, record your answers in the spaces provided in pen, okay, happened again. Let me go back. So make sure you write this in pen, the real one. Let's read. Decline in amphibians, 56 and 57 only. So this pertains to 56 and 57 only. They're each worth 1 point. Let's read. Declines in amphibian species such as frogs, toads, and salamanders might affect the ways in which ecosystems function. Remember, ecosystem is animals living in their environment, okay? Amphibians prey on many types of small organisms that survive by consuming leaf litter. So let's just underline some key. Let me change the color of my pen because this is kind of like highlighting. Let's do magenta. Consuming leaf litter, ecosystem. So leaf litter, leaf material on the ground of the ecosystem. These small organisms include animals such as earthworms, centipedes, millipedes, pillbugs, and many species of insects. In turn, amphibians are preyed on by fish. I can't see that. Herons, chipmunks, turkeys, foxes, coyotes, and other animals. This is a perfect example of one of the things that I don't like about the Regents. They throw certain animals out there that I don't know or I've never heard of or you've never heard of. But in the case that you bump into an animal or an organism that you don't know what it is, read around it and try to look at clues to tell you what kind of animal it is, okay? Moving on. Human activities. Oh my gosh, this sounds like our last lesson, which is topic 7, human impact on the ecosystem. Often cause a reduction in the size of amphibian populations. As amphibian populations are reduced, the organisms that are preyed on by amphibians increase in number. As the population of small forest organisms increase, the amount of leaf litter decreases. The decrease in the amount of leaf litter on the forest floor may have negative effects on the forest ecosystem. So now let's see what 56 wants from us. Identify one human activity and describe how that activity could directly or indirectly lead to the reduction in amphibian population. Well, this one, remember what we did, okay, in class about human activity. Let's just put this on the side. What are some human activities that affect negatively our environment of living things. We have deforestation. We have burning of fossil fuels that creates pollution. And we also have introduction of new species. Introduction of new species. Remember those fish that we brought in from China and then we let them loose and then they ran wild and started eating all the other, it messed up the whole food web, food chain situation. So here we can write, I'm not going to write it down for the sake of time because it takes a minute for me to write with this digital pen. Identify one human activity. One human activity is deforestation. And deforestation removes the habitat of these animals, which will then reduce the populations of amphibians. Or the burning of fossil fuels is a human activity that will reduce the amount of amphibian population. Or introducing a new species that will act as predators for the amphibians will reduce the population. So that is what you want to put for number 56. Only one. Notice it's just one. I gave you 3. 57. State one possible effect an increase in the amount of leaf litter on the forest floor would have on the amphibian population, and you have to support your answer. So state one possible effect an increase in the amount of leaf litter. So if you increase the amount of leaf litter, what would happen? So if you increase the amount of leaf litter, you're going to increase the amount of food available for the amphibian population, okay? And that is supporting the answer. So please do not rewrite the questions because that's going to take these 2 lines up. But please do go straight to the answer in a complete sentence and make sure that you use our science vocabulary, which is why I had you guys do the vocabulary words. So looking at the time, it's about 52 minutes into the video, and I think that you guys get the picture of what I want you to do on how to study for this exam, okay? So you want to practice the actual exams, have the answer key ready for whenever you want to look at the answers and see, okay? And understand what you need to do. So let me just see if I find a question that, yes. So just one more thing. Remember that if the question has bullet points, you have to answer in bullet points, okay? So if the question has these guys over here, remember 1, 2, 3, those are 3 separate questions. This is 66, 67, 68, and 69. So if you decide not to do one of the bullets, you basically left a question blank. Never leave questions blank. Always try and put an educated answer in there. Don't just put rubbish. Don't just put something that doesn't make sense. Please don't put, I don't know, miss. Please don't do that. Take your time. You can do this. You've been given all the tools, and answer as best as you can using your knowledge of biology, guys. Come on. So if it's in bullets, answer in bullets. So you want to make sure that you answer all 3 and that you make it easy for the teacher to grade your work because you organized it so well by seeing bullet points and answering in bullet points, okay? Some of you did a great job on that. Okay, so part D, just the last thing to say about the test, pertains to those 4 labs. Look at that. This is relationships and biodiversity. This is, over here, trying to see who's related to who. So remember that this is electrophoresis and you want to see how many of these lines they have in common. So we have the child. So in terms of the father, they have this one in common. They have this one in common, this one in common, and that's it. In terms of the mom, for the child, let's change the pen. Let's change the pen color. Let's give mom blue. I kind of change that up there. For mom, let's see. They have this one in common. And a great thing to do is put a scrap paper over and kind of work it one by one and make like cover this with scrap paper and then move your way down and try to see which one is right across from each other. Then let's see, this one is the same as the child for the mom. And this one is the same. So we have here 1, 2, 3 wins for the dad and 1, 2, 3 wins for the mom. But I'm not sure what the question's asking, but this is what you want to look at if you do have these this kind of question here. The average. So make sure to see here it asks what is the average pulse rate. You add all these 3, right? Add all of them and see what that gives you and then divide by 3. Divide by 3 and then that will give you your average. If you have 4 numbers, you add all 4, divide by 4. If you have 6 numbers, you add all 6 and divide by 6, okay? All right, so in conclusion, so some conclusions, never expect to see the same questions exactly how you've practiced them. The information is the same, but it might be asked differently. Study the vocabulary. Study Regents Review Book. Practice an entire exam. Do not come in to take the exam without studying. You will get a low grade or not the grade that you deserve. Do not eat heavy foods such as potatoes or bacon and egg and cheese because you will feel fatigued. These are not high energy foods. Eat healthy high energy foods that you actually like. Research. Google is your friend. Google and see what foods are good to eat before an exam, because if you are sleepy or hungry, you will not concentrate, and that can be a difference of up to 10 points. Okay? We all know that when we are hungry and we're taking a test, are you really concentrating? No, you're thinking about potatoes and bacon and french fries and pizza. Okay? Okay, I'm salivating. I'm hungry right now. All right. Get a good night's rest. Very important. Get your brain ready, your body ready. You don't want to be sleepy. You don't want to be sleepy. No, this is not good. This is not good. You want to be up and at 'em. Your eyes should be crazy eyes. These are your eyes, okay? And you got this. Good luck. We finished 100% of the curriculum. You got this. Guys, good luck. Please stay tuned to another video on Google Classroom that will have the full, oh my gosh, that video is going to probably be like 3 hours long. Oh well, I'm doing this for you. Please look at it. When you finish watching the video, can you please click and notify me that you did, like press submit or something, turn in, whatever button it would let me know that you watched it, okay? Guys, good luck with all your regents. It was a pleasure being your teacher. And good luck. Study.